Hello everyone, Stephen Derek Brown from VPS Securities. Today we are very honoured to have one of the most distinguished Australasian portfolio managers in Hong Kong and Australia in recent years. We've got Mr. John Bugg, who has had a near 30-year career, distinguished career with Macquarie Group, where he won many international awards, including the 3 times Australian Small Companies of the Year PM and 3 times Asian Small Cap PM of the Year. John, welcome.
Thank you, Stephen. Pleasure to be here.
Now, firstly, how many times have you been to Vietnam?
Honestly, I've lost count, so I'd have to estimate it, but it'll be somewhere, maybe not in the mid-10s, but it'll be around probably 30 or so.
30 or so times. Well, that's kind of reflective of the fact that you've become one of the most proven Pan-Asia Australasian PMs in your career, commencing firstly as a mining sector analyst with Macquarie and extending to your final role at Macquarie, where you were based in Hong Kong and headed their Asian Equities division. Industry regarded as a fundamental specialist from small to mid-cap as your portfolio, seeking alpha-rich investment opportunities. You've probably timed Vietnam quite perfectly because we're in the lead up to kind of evaluation of market upgrade, but you're before that approval. So there's quite a few potential opportunities to onboard into your portfolio. Now, so we'll move on to that. You've been working on your new portfolio extensively, traveling a lot, meeting a lot of listed companies in Vietnam. So why the name Bamboo?
So coming back to our branding, Bamboo Investment Partners. Bamboo, it's fast growing, it's very strong, and like our investment discipline, you can get it at a good price around Southeast Asia.
Okay. Now, the focus is on ASEAN. Correct. So would you like to explain on why ASEAN?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So ASEAN, and we're emerging ASEAN. So take Singapore out of it. Good market, Singapore, but not for us. It doesn't have the same structural growth opportunities that are more present over the less developed emerging ASEAN countries, and including in that, some classify it as frontier, but to us, Vietnam is truly emerging and doing a fine job of that. Why do we like these markets? Because it's a happy hunting ground for small mid-cap opportunities, but also even in large cap space, they're capturing that structural growth that really isn't on offer in the developed market. So the inefficiency, the structural growth opportunities, and another aspect, the markets here tend to be more oligopolistic. If you get a winner in an industry, they're really a winner, and they get fantastic investment returns with great profitability.
Kind of like akin to getting in an Australian vernacular into Woolworths at the start, or Coles at the start, where they were just doing mass rollout of their supermarkets pre the consolidation and the sophistication of the market in its developed modern economy sense.
Great analogy, but maybe even before the brand was widestream.
For sure, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Bamboo portfolio in 3 words. Okay,
quality. We're very fussy. Our return on equity is in the 20s compared to a benchmark that is around 10. Growth, like Bamboo itself, sorry for repeating that, but our earnings growth across our portfolio is in the mid-teens, which again is well above the benchmark, which does include some mature industries. So that structural growth and the shift to really modern business practices in a modern economy, which is a fast-growing component of the economies we invest in.
Now, the economies you invest in recent times, particularly since the commencement of this calendar year with the announcement of tariffs, the net effect of that, if we look at, say, Vietnam and its immediate peers, Vietnam's coming in at around about 20%, which is almost similar to its immediate neighbours, Thailand at 19, for instance, but it's still outperforming some more Pan-Asian peers, including, say, India, which is around about 50 just at the present. So if you'd like to explain where you see in that environment your discipline on focus and value and growth, and where you think the stocks in your portfolio are less affected, say the internal consumer market story for Vietnam, not impacted by tariffs?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, really, if we look to our portfolio, we're very bottom up. Most of our effort is in company meetings, eyeballing management, understanding their business and where they're taking their companies. Because we'll be a 3-5 year investor, we're trying to jump in a time machine where we can look back and see what that journey is. Yes, things have been volatile. We try to look through the noise, and high quality businesses are quite enduring, even in the tougher times. And yes, it has been a tough market. Even in Vietnam, late last year, when we did start our portfolio. Certainly there's other political events across the region, changes of government, and some, I won't go into the detail, geopolitical events which have held some of the markets back. So again, don't look at the economies, look at the opportunity, be very bottom up, study the industry and study the company. Work out, do they have that competitive advantage? Are they leveraging it? And are they collecting the structural growth, or is competition coming? So do the peer analysis, look around them, do the channel checks.
And the fact that you noted earlier, you've been to Vietnam over 30 times or thereabouts, you're very boots on the ground. You like to visit all of the ASEAN nations that you're investing in face to face, as you said, corporate access, see the C-suite, do the factory walkthrough, see the retail spots of points of sale and so on. So where does Vietnam feature in your portfolio? And secondly, the advantage of this moment in time of being able to invest in Vietnam before market upgrade gets announced.
Yep, sure. Really, it's no secret that Vietnam, just moving into emerging markets as we speak, for benchmarks of ASEAN, is a small component. But given the great structural growth opportunity that's available here, the strength of the economy, and the management of the economy, is actually our portfolio's largest weight. The things we're true to label with our chasing the structural growth and looking for strong companies, but doing that with a value discipline. We're certainly finding the opportunities here.
So if we continue on in that vein, what are the key selling points of investment interest of Vietnam versus some of the other ASEAN markets? We've got like political stability, of course, compared to recent times in recent competitive ASEAN nations. And further on from there?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, GDP growth, pushing the double digits is a standout across the region. No other region really gets close to that. But also the shift from traditional to modern sectors, there are great opportunities to leverage that. As you pointed out, the region is under-owned. The passive investors or the more benchmark-aware investors are really coming here slowly, waiting for permission, but we're on the ground now doing that work at finding these opportunities early.
And if we have a look at the rest of that, the portfolio have established since last year. Have you been taking any profit? The market hit a record high year to date in recent months and recent weeks, approaching 1,700. And currently, the VN Index PE is at about 15.1 times, PB about 2.13 times. So it's still attractive versus some regional markets. I noticed you did say, the 3 to 5 year time frame, but when the event-driven opportunities arise, have you taken a bit of money off the table yet, or not yet?
Again, Stephen, our holdings are real bottom draw stuff.
Yep.
And with that, we don't look to the ratios of the market.
Yes.
We're not top down at all. We only hold between 15 and 25 stocks in our portfolio, so it's pretty high conviction. And across our portfolio, we have the opposite problem. Not things that are expensive, but funding the next opportunity. We're finding we're reluctant sellers to fund those better opportunities, but that is by discipline. Each new investment has to improve the portfolio in the fundamental characteristics and risk as well, with good diversification.
So talking about the portfolio and diversification, sectors of specific focus and interest. If you look at, say, banks, financials on the VN Index, about 40% weighting of market cap. How would that compare with Bamboo at the moment?
Sure. True of our benchmarks, it's not only Vietnam that has a large allocation towards financials. Certainly the other ASEAN countries have that same characteristic. But if we look to that large sector, again, being very selective, we hold 3 financial stocks across the region. I won't name stocks overall, but we don't look to the benchmark. We look to the fundamentals, and with that, we're finding more opportunities outside. But in our portfolio, we hold 3 very, very strong, that is Bamboo, fast-growing financial companies.
And the consumer space, the consumer story, Vietnam's demographic, it's kind of still in the sweet spot. China matured at around about 2018 or so, and Vietnam won't be maturing to an aging population for at least probably through to another 10 years or so. So the consumer story, the discretionary spend opportunity consumer story is in the sweet spot. Few listed companies there, from jewelers such as P&J to technology players like Mobile World Group to the other types of industry consumer-facing product providers like Vinamilk, doing all of their premiumization of milk and dairy products. These are all already very popular, heavily invested companies, but some of them, having said that, have had a cyclical high, then come back away. Your entry now, like say if you have a look at, say, Vinamilk, I recall in Q4 2017, the stock was trading at 186,000 VND a share, and there's opportunistic pricing now at under 70,000 a share. So timing, like I said earlier, of your portfolio's construction and the development of your holdings is quite perfectly timed. I think you've got a bit of a calm before the next wave, where index managers will have to start to focus on Vietnam more so. Currently, I think we're looking probably realistically about Q1, maybe March next year, for FTSE Russell firstly to go with an announcement for advance from frontier to secondary emerging market status, which will bring in several $billion of flow. And then we've also got potential for inclusion on the watch list thereafter, or similarly timed with MSCI. Your thoughts on things that Vietnam might be able to do to, from here on, incentivize further investment, for further indirect investment, corporate governance, IFRS, your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Look, governance is very critical for us. And Vietnam, I won't say has been criticised. That's true of every emerging market. The standards aren't as sharp here in Vietnam as some of the more developed markets. But the thing that's very pleasing to myself is the rate of change. And kudos to the management teams that get it. If you play a clean game, you play, in Australian terms, straight bat, then you get rewarded with a higher rating on your company, a higher multiple, and great management teams get very wealthy from good governance. So huge call out, encouragement to keep doing what you're doing, the management teams that are really tidying up some of the practices which are common in many places, and put corporate governance first, and you will be really rewarded, especially with more and more money coming. And those investors coming, they'll be very sharp looking at that. And there's a lot of analysis that goes into that.
For sure, for sure.
From
one of them is in the DCM sphere. You've had, for the last couple of years now, some of the largest of the large caps in Vietnam traditionally to access and tap the credit markets, credit funds. You are under the VAS, Vietnam Accounting Standard. So that's different to what's typically the norm, IFRS. But that said, even though it's not yet mandated, some of them report in IFRS format, so they can also then access international credit markets, such as Vinhome successfully doing that since the last few years. And then you've also, in recent times, had some of the other large companies in the Gelex fold do that too.
Very smart.
Yeah, so IFRS Phase 1's coming in, and organisations such as ACCA can help enhance corporate governance and also upskill all of the back office teams from CFO through to all of their accounting crew. We recently had a workshop with one of the largest banks in the system, Agribank, to do that. So they're all getting prepared for that. I think the other thing that's important for Vietnam that I've seen since 2013 is now that nearly all the large caps are doing English bilingual press releases, investor relations pages. So it must make your work a much easier and time efficient filtering and fundamental analysis undertaking compared to what it ordinarily would have been back in your Macquarie days, I would imagine.
Absolutely. The communication's getting a lot sharper. The investor relation teams are quite professional. So do appreciate that. And it's pretty simple. If you want the international money, you have to play by the international rules. So again, kudos to the companies that are lifting the game above the minimum standard to win the capital from the international markets, and treat that capital with respect, and it'll be there. And when you need more capital, the investors will be willing to come to you if they only have that high trust factor.
Now, talking about trust factor, you've got around about 30 years being one of the most respected PMs looking at ASEAN, Australasian equities. So your fund and the portfolio will be available for international investors. Will you be looking at having it potentially one day set up as any specific structure, a SIF, for instance, or UKITs, for instance, or what will be your vision for this portfolio?
Sure. Really, that's a work in progress, but one that's quite advanced, and it does depend on seed customers and their requirements. So they're really almost, call it business semantics. They'll fall into place, but the design of the product, the legwork, the alpha generating team we're well practiced and we're doing the job. That's the most important things that do define a product when they come. It's a portfolio. We're not a fund, we're not registered, we're not marketing yet. But if you read the tea leaves, yes, Steve, that's an ambition. Thank you.
Well, everyone's asking, you know. So the other thing is, in the past, you've run funds through Caymans and so on. You didn't have to worry about UKITS or CIF accreditation because you just had people wanting to invest direct through you with Macquarie. You know, so I assume you've got the full complement of opportunities. You could do the Cayman, or you could do it may be a CIF if you wanted to do overweight, over 10% of the NAV, or up to you really. So as you said before, it'll be up to your team and then also some of your key investors to discuss with you as the time draws increasingly near, which is coming up soon. So John Bugg, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you in Hanoi, Vietnam, once again to discuss your Vietnam investing vision for your portfolio and investment opportunities for global investors to be. And absolute pleasure to see you again. Thank you. Stephen Brown from VPS Securities. Have a good day.